Good morning. I'm Dr. Divya Parashar. My sole purpose in life is to keep people sane. Part 2 of episode 4 of Everyday Mental Health. In part 1, I had spoken about different aspects of relationships and difficulties people face. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about communication and conflict resolution, which actually enables fostering better relationships. So there are specific reasons couples, families seek counseling and therapy. Often fights are increasing, or there's lack of trust, there's lack of an emotional connect, lack of love, lack of affection, can't see eye to eye, the list goes on. I don't intend for this episode to be a therapy session or a substitute for it, but I'll be actually providing information that can have you reflect on what your communication styles are and how do you reflect and how do you address conflicts so that you can figure out where you are in those aspects. The one area we always begin is communication. I will always emphasize on what is said, how is it said, what is the intent, and where are we going in the relationship. The biggest challenge I find, and I really want you to pay attention to this, is that we do not listen to understand, but we listen to reply and to often defend ourselves. And that's the biggest roadblock I find people struggling with. Effective communication between two people is key, whether it's a couple or it's a parent-child or it's siblings, whoever. This is not specifically to a particular dyad or a triad, but how else can we build on understanding, on caring, love, trust, compassion when communication isn't strong enough? So what does communication begin with? Mutual respect and a curiosity to want to understand the other person and to work through challenges. I want you to reflect on with what intent do you communicate with another person, especially when a difficult situation arises. Is it because I want to get back to our warm, healthy interaction and clarify whatever misunderstanding was there? Is it so that I can learn the ways in which we communicate, which builds our understanding and I can trust better? Is it because we want to learn to be patient, kind, accepting, forgiving individuals ourselves, and who then engage in thriving relationships or environments? So that's the good scenario, right? Or is it payback time? I have to prove I'm right, the other person is wrong. I despise this person so much that I want to actually hurt with my words. I love the blame game. I have to show who the boss is, and therefore I will be aggressive and I want to have that power struggle. I have to control or change the other person based on my needs and wants. I want to create a distance from this person. Am I really trying to win an argument? So please reflect on what is it that you intend when you start a communication. When you're in a conversation, how is the tone of your voice? Is it high-pitched, loud, expressing anger? Are your words faster and pressured than what you're actually thinking? What words do you use? Are they respectful? Or are they laced with sarcasm and swear words? Do you even know what you're talking when you're angry? What's your body language like? Is it calm, gentle, receptive, accepting, loving, or complete with eye rolls, exasperated sighs, sniggers, furrowed brow, a threatening posture, a clenched jaw? Do you resolve conflicts, or are you stuck in an endless loop of attacks and counterattacks which further escalates into a fight? So, where am I going with all of this? When people come in, and of course, I talk about why is communication important. It improves relationships, it improves intimacy, builds trust and support. The opposite is also true. It can weaken bonds, creates mistrust and even contempt, which is what often brings families into therapy with me. And I often feel maybe it's too late when the contempt and the hatred part has come in. There is somebody who once said, I don't want to be in a conflicted relationship. Hey, guess what? There is no conflict-free relationship. We have that mistaken belief that in a happy family, there should be no fights, arguments, there should be no conflict of any kind if we truly love each other. Guess what? That is a recipe for disaster. The word argument comes from the Latin word arguere, which means it's the intention of a person is to clarify, it's to make his or her position clear, and at the same time looking for a healthy resolution of a fight. But for me, I will always talk about what are the 4 pillars that destroy a relationship. So let me talk about what is it that actually is destructive. So the first one is complaint or criticism. So complaint as an expression of disagreement or anger about a specific issue, but that escalates into a series of criticisms that are lashed out to the other person, which become global, it becomes very judgmental. And so many blame games happen with repeated and frustrated attempts to resolve the issue. So, for instance, you're always on the phone, you never have time for me, your friends are more important, go hang out with them, you're just such a selfish person, I just don't want to be with you anymore. So it just goes on and on. Contempt, mocking, sarcasm, insulting, it's often a really terrible character attack, put downs, disapprovals, judgments. So you're such a pathetic loser, so irresponsible, you are good for nothing, you never get things right, you are so low IQ, I just wonder how you got here. Swear words are common, which I'm not going to use here. Sometimes people take a negative action or a behavior of somebody and then make it into a personality flaw. So for example, if a person is irritated, that person is labeled as having pathological rage. Or if a woman wants to discuss a problem with her partner, with the relationship, she's labeled as needy, clingy, controlling, or demanding. This just creates such negative perceptions on both sides. Please remember to respect the person for whatever he or she is, even if you don't like the behavior. And then there's defensiveness, an attempt to ward off or protect oneself from a perceived attack. So it may be a denial of a responsibility towards a conflict. It could be a counter attack, or it could be a whine. So rather than addressing what the other person has brought or being objective and willing to listen to both sides, the defensive person steadfastly denies any wrongdoing and works hard to take on any ownership towards a conflict that has arisen. Denying may seem to alleviate stress in the long run, but what it does is it lets the other person think that this person doesn't care, doesn't feel listened to, and unresolved conflicts continue to grow. So for instance, if a dad tells his daughter, you spoke very rudely to your mom and that was uncalled for, she responds saying, no, I didn't, you always pick on me, look who's talking, you spoke to your colleague so rudely. And evidence may just point to the contrary. So where did that go? The other one is stonewalling, and what that typically literally means is a stone wall being placed between the listener and the receiver. So when one person wants to address a troubling issue in the relationship, the other person just doesn't want to talk, refuses to listen, and is just sitting there like a stone wall. Shows disrespect, shows again that you don't care, even contempt, again letting the underlying conflict grow. So emotionally, the speaker perceives the listener as being smug, cold, detached, indifferent, hostile, uncaring. It creates nothing but hard feelings, and it again laces the relationship with danger and not a very good outcome. So let's say if you're not in the mood to discuss the issue, just say, okay, I don't want to talk about it now, but can we revisit this later? But again, showing an intent to want to communicate. There are some pitfalls that I want to address, which I want people to avoid, because these are negative and often destructive attitudes and communication patterns. So the first one being avoiding conflict altogether. So rather than addressing difficulties when they arise in a calm, respectful manner, some people just avoid talking about it altogether. So it festers, it builds, and then one day it just explodes in an angry outburst. And that is usually a worse situation than just talking about it when it arises. It actually causes more stress. Both parties are tense, and then it's just a pile up of many issues because it's not being dealt with systematically. The other one is overgeneralizing. Again, when something happens people don't like, some blow it out of proportion by making sweeping generalizations. Avoid starting sentences with you always and you never. As in, you always disagree with me, you never do what I want you to do. Stop and think about whether that's really true. And don't bring up past conflicts to throw the discussion off topic and stir up more negativity. Again, this stands in the way of effective conflict resolution and increases the level of conflict. Like I talked about earlier, being right. It's damaging to decide what's wrong, what's the right way to look at things, and that your way of seeing things is the only way. Don't demand that your loved one looks at things your way, same way. And don't see it as a personal attack if they disagree. Again, I'm going to say there are times when I'm just telling people, you know what, it's okay to disagree. You don't have to be on the same page. There's not always a right or wrong. And 2 points of view can be both valid. But can we disengage respectfully rather than wanting to be right? Listening effectively. And when I say listen, again, some people interrupt. They are already planning their attack when the other person is speaking. They roll their eyes, rehearse what needs to be said, instead of really truly listening to what is being said and to understand the other person. This honestly keeps you from seeing that other person's point of view and keeps them from wanting to see yours. So if there's constant interruption, you're not going to go anywhere. So can we just listen effectively and don't underestimate the importance of really listening and empathizing with the other person. I'll talk about an acronym later. And again, playing the blame game constantly. Some people handle conflict by constantly criticizing and blaming the other person for the situation. They see that if they admit their weakness, it's losing their credibility or it's a sign of weakness, and avoid it at all costs, and they try to shame the other person for a fault which they may perceive. Again, try to view conflict as an opportunity to analyze the situation objectively, assess the needs of both parties, and come up with a solution that helps you both. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when we talk about a specific incident and how to address that. And I always say this, on my other pet lines, is if people are focused on winning the argument, the relationship loses. So if you're trying to win, you're going to give up on the relationship. It should be mutual understanding. It should be coming to an agreement or a resolution that respects everyone's needs. So if you're making a case for how wrong you are, if you're discounting the other person's feelings and staying in your point of view, you're just, focused in the wrong direction.